get hold of the Nintendo Entertainment System. When you master Rob the video robot and meet the challenge of Gyromite. When you shoot the light-sensing zapper. When you play the system with the most arcade hits, you're playing with power.
The NES. Arguably the granddaddy of the modern console era of gaming, the Nintendo Entertainment System is credited for saving the North American video game industry from going under completely following the video game crash of 1983. The crash occurred because of several factors, but one of the largest was a veritable glut of consoles and home computers that were available on the market, ranging from the Atari 2600 to the newly released Apple II. More products meant an ever-dwindling share of the market as games and consoles were being turned away by retailers who weren't able to move the sheer quantity of product. As a result, by 1985, video games were leaving a bad taste in most consumers' mouths. By contrast, over in Japan, video games were still going strong. Nintendo, having scored considerable success in the arcades, created a new game console for home use, the Famicom, a portmanteau of the phrase family computer. It was released in Japan in 1983 to sluggish sales due to bad hardware, but after a recall, sales soon picked up and it dominated the Japanese market by the end of 1984. This encouraged them to try to break into the North American market, and initially they made overtures to Atari to partner with them for the release. However, after discovering that competitor Coleco was demonstrating their Coleco Atom computer using a version of Nintendo's Donkey Kong, Atari delayed the implementation of the marketing contract. Atari's CEO was fired the following year and the deal fell apart. Nintendo decided to market their new console themselves. The Famicom was redesigned into the now familiar gray, red, and black color scheme we know now, and because the aforementioned crash left a bad taste in consumers' mouths, some terminology was changed. Console became control deck, video games became game packs, and of course the name itself, the Nintendo Entertainment System, was a replacement for video game system. To further distance itself from other video game consoles and make it more appealing to toy retailers, the NES also featured several unique peripherals, the first two of which were the Zapper light gun and Rob, the robotic operating buddy. These peripherals added new methods of gameplay beyond what prior consoles were able to do. The NES formally debuted in September of 1986 with 17 launch titles, including mainstays like Super Mario Bros. And Duck Hunt. During the initial years, several versions of the NES were sold. The deluxe set included 2 controllers, a zapper, Rob, and a dual game pack featuring Duck Hunt and a game designed for use with Rob, Gyromite. The action set included 2 controllers, the zapper, and a dual game pack with Duck Hunt and Super Mario Bros. The basic set included the console and controller and could be sold either with or without Super Mario Bros. As an included game. Later, the power set included everything in the deluxe set with Rob replaced by a power pad and a triple game pack with Duck Hunt, Super Mario Bros. And world-class track meet. Several other bundles and other combinations were sold over the course of the NES's lifespan. As misleading box art and a lack of quality standards helped contribute to the crash, Nintendo insisted on all third-party games made for the system comply with their standards in order to be allowed to be officially licensed for the console. As a result, many classic franchises have their roots on the NES, including, but not limited to, Mega Man, The Legend of Zelda, Dragon Quest, Castlevania, Final Fantasy, and Metroid.
The challenge is Metroid. The power is Nintendo. Defend the planet Cephas against the evil Mother Brain. It's survival or destruction. To battle or die. Metroid only from Nintendo.
You need a Tetris shot.
Tetris.
How do you even Tetris size?
Square, rectangle, trapezoid, tetrazoid. Nintendo introduces Tetris. Put a piece here, put a piece there. Use your thumbs, use your eyes. Find yourself Tetris size.
Watch Zelda become a legend on your Nintendo Entertainment System.
Zelda!
Which way to go?
Good time. PPP hands.
Levers!
Zelda! Zelda! Zelda!
The Legend of Zelda. A never-ending adventure new for your Nintendo Entertainment System.
Zelda!
The NES and the related games sold so well that Nintendo became a licensed juggernaut, inspiring everything from weekday and Saturday morning cartoons to breakfast cereals.
Nintendo.
It's for breakfast now!
Nintendo.
It's a cereal! Wow!
Nintendo.
Super Mario Jump!
Nintendo.
In a fruit flavored crunch!
Nintendo.
cereal system is a super part of this nutritious breakfast.
Nintendo.
2 cereals in 1! Wow!
The NES and the Famicom continued to sell strong well into the 1990s when the first real inkling of competition arrived in the form of the 16-bit Sega Genesis. All predictions indicated the decline of the NES as a market dominator, but surprisingly it hung on rather well. The Famicom remained the second highest selling console in Japan, outstripped by Nintendo's own Super Famicom. The arrival of the Super Nintendo is ultimately what led to the original NES's decline. When Nintendo's own 16-bit system hit the market with more power, more color, and more capability for creative games, demand for new NES games plummeted. By 1993, the SNES was the king of the hill and the NES was heading for history. The last games produced for Japan, North America, and Europe were Adventure Island 4, Wario's Woods, and The Lion King, respectively. And finally, production of the NES was officially discontinued in 1995. However, the playing field the NES created has influenced video game design going forward, creating whole genres and types of gameplay. And things have come full circle with emulators, ROM hacks, and the official plug-and-play NES Classic Edition, which was released last year. Video game legend, industry savior, and just a whole lot of fun to play, the NES has truly earned its place in the annals of electronic entertainment history. I'm Aaron Mills. Join me again next week for another edition of Saturd80s.
Now you're playing with power.